Hello, I am Chris Lee, joined by Chase Robinson and Jay Greeson. We are Southeastern 16, presented by FanDuel, here to preview South Carolina's trip to Missouri, which is going to be in that afternoon time slot this weekend. Jay, what do we got on FanDuel? Is it this morning? I think it's about 12.5 last time I checked in Missouri's favor.
It is. Missouri 12.5, South Carolina with a plus 400 money line as the underdog, and kind of a surprisingly low total, and understandably in some ways, 46.5, especially with the unknowns. And I know we'll dive deep into this about LaNorris Sellers' availability for the Gamecocks.
Yeah, I think that is one reason the line, like I would have believed this would have been a 12.5 point line. But between the
opened Sunday, Chris, it opened Sunday at Missouri -7.
Goodness. Well, I think that tells you a lot about Sellers' health. The other thing it tells you is Missouri's playing really good ball. I said this on our power rankings. We had Missouri at 8th as a team, and I understand why. You've got some teams in front of Missouri that have got more impressive wins, and I'm not going to say that's invalid. But I don't know that statistically, just across the board, there has been a better team so far in the SEC than Missouri. Now, look, has that been padded by playing Central Arkansas and Louisiana? I'm sure. Although Missouri is hardly the only team to have played a couple of weak opponents so far. But you just look at what Missouri's done so far. It's averaging 7.3 per snap. It's averaging 6.7 per rushing play. It's turned it over less than 1% of the time. Defensively, which I think they thought would be their strength, they've allowed 32 first downs all year. They've outsnapped opponents 241 to 147. They've outgained other teams 1761 to 574. They're averaging defensively under 4 yards a snap. They're forcing turnovers 2% of the time. They're allowing 2.3 yards per passing play. Now, look, again, that's going to change as the opponents get tougher, but they really manhandled Kansas a couple of weeks ago. And then Ahmad Hardy goes for 250 in basically 2.5 quarters this weekend. Chase, I'm just really impressed with what Missouri has shown so far.
Yeah, I'm too. And they found them a quarterback in Beau Pribula. I like what I've seen from him. 791 yards, has that 76% completion rate, 7 touchdowns, an interception. I think he's done a nice job. And yeah, his job's going to get a little harder as they move on into their schedule. But still, I like what he's done. And I think he is going to help this team win some big-time games. And Ahmad Hardy as well. He's been steady. And, again, it's going to get tougher. But Ahmad Hardy seems like a back who is ready for whatever is thrown his way. So this is a good team that Missouri has, and to me they're trending to be better than I thought they would be. And yeah, they're trending to be a team that if they can keep this up when it gets harder, then they're going to be a team to look out for.
Jay, I feel like South Carolina's got better ball in it than we've seen. But the Sellers injury is big. I'm not sure if it's a concussion, if it's ribs, if it's both. Whatever it is, he came out of that game late in the first half, and it never felt like he was coming back. It looks like, okay, on threes, Pete Nakos has confirmed that Sellers suffered a concussion after the hit. This is according to Athlon Sports. So could have 2 issues there. But, yeah, I mean, look, that's a big blow for South Carolina, but also problematic. I just don't think they played very well on the lines of scrimmages last week, which, either way. I mean, defensively, I think they got some talent. They probably played better there, but I think their offensive line is a huge problem right now. Now, they do have Luke Doty, who's probably one of the more experienced quarterbacks in the league. And he's not Sellers, but the drop-off there probably isn't as big as some other places. But I just didn't like the way they played last week. They kind of come unglued late in the game when Dylan Stewart gets kicked out of the game. But at the same time, this is a vintage Shane Beamer motivational spot too. I feel like he will message his team pretty well through the week and probably make some points that or easier to make when you get manhandled like they did a week ago?
Manhandled is a look. They're going to have to be certainly more efficient. Whether it's LaNorris Sellers, Luke Doty, Todd Ellis, Steve Tannehill, whoever the hell's taking snaps, they're going to have to be. They're going to have to value the football more. I mean, after Sellers left, they had 3 turnovers and were stopped on 4th down twice. The final score of 31-7 Vanderbilt over South Carolina leads credence to the phrasing of manhandle. But look, Dylan Stewart's going to have to embrace being a dude, and especially on a front 7 that if they don't stop or even slow Ahmad Hardy, this is going to be a long day for South Carolina and the other Columbia. Because, hey, Coach Drink ain't going to deviate. I mean, Kevin Coleman's the dude on the perimeter, but Eli Drinkowitz in Missouri would be completely content if he has 2 catches for 15 yards if Ahmad Hardy does what he did last week. Now, the competition elevates. Nobody's denying that. But Missouri's been able to run the ball effectively. And a South Carolina front 7 that last year silenced opposing running games is now middle of the pack against a pretty soft schedule to this point, Vanderbilt game notwithstanding. So, and yeah, you get behind in the Vanderbilt script and you got to start throwing it. But, I mean, this is a really tough spot for Shane Beamer, motivational speeches aside. This is – and he said he was optimistic meeting with the media on Sunday. And we're recording this Monday at 1 o'clock Eastern time. He said he was optimistic, but he would not go into details of the injury. Hell, every Gamecock fan from Charleston to Columbia is optimistic that LaNorris Sellers is going to play. But if you're already dodging the questions 24 hours after, it'll be real interesting to see what he has to say Wednesday. Because if LaNorris Sellers doesn't play, I don't know how, A, this team generates consistent offense, and B, how they're going to walk into that venue with a team that is rolling with a whole lot more confidence than me trying to ask the prom queen if she wanted to go out next week. Because none of those worked real well.
Yeah, I feel like, Chase, South Carolina is going to have to get some big plays. It could be Vicari Swain in the return game, which he's done, made 3 touchdowns on punt returns. One was a partial block. Vanderbilt kind of kicked away from him last week. And then you've got Nyck Harbor, who, ball in his hands is a threat to go against anybody, anytime, anywhere. My concern is just protection. It's been a big issue that they're going to have to find some quick hitting plays to get the ball out of whoever their quarterback's hands is and do some damage. But that's my big concern is just like I feel like their pocket has collapsed so much in the games that I've seen them this year.
Yeah, they've got to be better up front, and that's crucial, especially if LaNorris Sellers isn't playing and you do have a backup quarterback in, is to give him time to work. So they got to be better up front. You're right. And I think this is, Nyck Harbor needs to have a big game. This is one of they really need a guy like him this week to make something happen, especially again if they're playing without LaNorris Sellers, which is unknown at this point. But yeah, big plays are going to be big, And I think back to last year with South Carolina, they got run out of the stadium by Ole Miss, and then the next week they went out and lost to Alabama by 2, and you could tell just that was kind of a moment that. In that Ole Miss game, they didn't play very well. Things didn't go their way, but they bounced back really well. I'm looking to see if they can do that. The team isn't built like it was last year. We all agree with that. But I'm looking to see if we see some improvement in that area of how they respond, how they bounce back. Because if not, then they've got more tough games down the road on the schedule.
The other part of this, but again, we're coming through with the lens of Missouri is a big favorite. It's at home. So, like, how does this game get more interesting than what the spread would show? And Jay, you mentioned Dylan Stewart is a potential 1-1 candidate for next year's draft. Is a Titans fan. I would love to have him in two-tone blue because God knows we need a pass rusher. But we have seen the one thing that I would pick with Missouri that I've seen as a flaw has been offensive line play and protection at times. And when that's an issue, and again, you're moved to left guard to left tackle this year in Caden Green, and you got a guy like that is, a pick six. And look, Missouri's already lost a fumble that went the other way against Kansas. I think that's part of your recipe as South Carolina to keep this one interesting.
Well, there's no environment I ever see Dylan Stewart being round one, pick one.
Okay.
Because even the Titans get it, they would have to trade down for the multitude of quarterbacks who are going to be available. South Carolina, and to y'all's conversation about the big play, they're going to have that. South Carolina's last in the league in rushing per game. And it's not like they've just gone up against Alabama 2017 and LSU 2019. I mean, they're averaging 110 yards rushing a game. So they're and that's with LaNorris Sellers for 2 games and 2 quarters. Look, big plays are paramount, but they're going to have to figure out a way because this is a strikingly eye-popping thing. In a comparable schedule, Missouri's averaging 300-plus yards rushing a game. So Dylan Stewart and those dudes, while making big plays, creating turnovers, all of that is what South Carolina fans have become accustomed to. They're also going to have to do their job in the running game because they're going to have to create 2nd and 8s, 3rd and 5s, and say, okay, Beau Pribula, y'all rolled with it, but can you do it consistently on 3rd down when we know you got to throw? And I don't know how many times Missouri has been in that position when you're averaging 303 rushing yards per game through 3 weeks.
Let's get to picks momentarily. First of all, reminder, we're brought to you by GameTime Sidekicks. GameTimeSidekicks.com is where you go. Officially licensed stainless steel drinkware, all SEC schools, 350 other universities. Stainless steel sippy cups, tumblers, 40-ounce bottles, and shaker cups. SE16 gets you 20% off your entire order. Rockform.com, ROKFORM, world's strongest magnetic phone case. Extreme protection. Super strong magnets, rock lock secure mounting. September is the busiest month of the year with the new iPhone release. SEC 25 gets you 25% off your entire order at rockform.com. Finally, Hovey Dry Goods. Your new favorite hat. Look no further than Hovey hats for high-quality headwear with a great fit and unique designs. I know Jay loves his Auburn hat, and it is a nice-looking hat. Bad Beat Team of the Week. I think this promo code still works. Rebs, REBS. That's because Ole Miss caught a field goal against Kentucky 2 weeks ago and didn't cover. Promo code REBS, REBS, gets you 15% off your order at Hovey Dry Goods. That's HOVI, drygoods.com. Picks, Jay Greeson, let's go your way first.
I think Missouri wins, and convincingly. I think there is an attitude of, in the show me state of, look, we've been good. And Coach Drink, there are 2 great things that coaches embrace, all the ones I've coached to or talked to. Win a game and still have clear things to work on in practice because you got everybody's attention. But you can get off to this fast start and everything appears to be clicking and you still can play the pregame nobody believes in you card. And I think Missouri has that and will have that for the next couple of weeks. And they haven't left the state. This is a tough trip either direction. And the uncertainty of LaNorris Sellers and the erraticness of this South Carolina offense, I'm willing to lay the 12.5. I wish I had gotten on it on 7, 8, whatever it was on Sunday. But I think Missouri wins this and says, what about us?
Yeah, I agree with that. I'm going to take a Missouri in this one too. And I'm just not sold on South Carolina yet, whether they have LaNorris Sellers or not. Like This is a different team than what we saw last year. I want to see them a little bit more against SEC competition before I can feel better about them. I like what I see from Missouri. Yeah, I'm going to take the Tigers to win this one, get a good win Saturday over South Carolina.
Yeah, I think there's only one place right now where South Carolina's got an edge. That is probably special teams. Remember, Missouri lost its kicker, has been filling in. They've done a fine job there, but it's not what they started with. And Carolina's always good on special teams, as we know. I think even if Sellers plays, Kirby Moore at Missouri, their offensive coordinator, boy, what one of the more underrated assistants maybe in the league. He's done a phenomenal job with that offense, getting the new parts to mesh. They got playmakers all over the field. And Coleman and Johnson and all those dudes. 2 running backs who were really good and a quarterback who's played about as well as anybody. I think even if Sellers plays, too many questions right now for South Carolina. And if he doesn't, this one has the potential to get ugly if Missouri is as good as I think it is. We'll find out on Saturday. We'll be here to react to it when it's over. Be sure to hit the subscribe button and enable your notifications so you know when we do go live. Anyway, thank you guys for watching. God bless you. This is Southeastern 16 presented by FanDuel.